Hello everyone, I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel and what is to be my very first video. On my channel, I'll be discussing with you various topics from video games to anime and just all kinds of pop culture in general. Please feel free to hit that subscribe button and stay up to date with my videos. And now for the topic at hand. Today, I would like to talk to you about something that can sometimes be a bit of a sore subject for some, and for very understandable reasons, and that is homebrew. More specifically, we are going to be looking at homebrew on the Nintendo Switch and some of the pros and cons it can bring with it. Okay, now I know that homebrew in general can be quite a controversial term, but please, before you hit that dislike button and move on down the road, I promise you, it's not all about piracy. And although that is probably the biggest problem with it and possibly the most detrimental threat to a video game console, there are actually many pros that come with homebrew and hacking a system. I personally am a firm believer in that if we purchase a system or device from a company, we should have the right to modify the device to our liking, especially when it comes to things like user interface or firmware of a system. One of the biggest pros of hacking a system and allowing unsigned code would be the benefit of creating or installing a custom firmware more to your liking, as well as changing various themes, color schemes, or even special backgrounds. Now, I personally like the way the Switch user interface looks, but I could definitely see the appeal to personalize it or just spice it up a bit. Another major pro of homebrew is of course pretty obvious, and that is the ability to play homemade games, run apps, or even run emulators, and do so much more. When a vibrant homebrew community exists, the possibilities and applications that are created can be truly endless. Now the final pro we will be discussing today is just accessibility in general. Now I know companies tend to cater to their consumers' needs, but sometimes companies will kind of go in the opposite direction. Now don't get me wrong, I love Nintendo, and yes, I'm an admitted fanboy, but sometimes they can be particularly egregious when it comes to this. They are a company that is known for thinking outside the box and being very revolutionary, and sometimes that pays off, sometimes it doesn't. And trust me, I know, I still own my Virtual Boy. Okay, now back to the subject. Nintendo is known for doing things their own way, and oftentimes they don't ask what the consumer wants. They tend to more so decide for the consumer, and that is part of their Nintendo charm and why I love them so much. But certain features of a device can always be improved on, while other features the consumer might want included, such as voice chat for instance, is for some reason excluded altogether, and that's where homebrew can come in to help. Okay, now that we got some of the pros out of the way, let's take a look at the cons and the negative aspect of things. Now let us start off with the elephant in the room, and that is of course piracy, and that is something not to be taken lightly. I personally do not condone piracy in any form or manner. Now one of the biggest problems with hacking a system like the Nintendo Switch is always gonna be piracy. Most of the time when a video game console is hacked, it paves the way for piracy in some way, shape, or form being more accessible. And piracy in general can be absolutely devastating to a game console, especially if it happens early on in the console's lifespan. Take the PSP for instance. Many people blame the lackluster success of the PSP due to factors like piracy. Now whether that is true can be argued for another day, but I can tell you for sure piracy definitely didn't help matters. Next on our list of cons is going to be you break, you buy, as in you risk the chance of damaging or even breaking your console. Usually when hacking a console, it comes with the inherent risk or possibility of damaging it, whether it be a hard mod or a soft mod. There is always a risk, especially when installing homebrew or running unsigned code on your system. Now our final con of the day is going to be the fact that hacking your system in any way almost always avoids your warranty. So if anything does go wrong with your system, you'll be paying out of pocket for a new one. And believe me, things can and do go wrong. So now that we've got our pros and cons out of the way, I hope I gave you all some food for thought, and hopefully you came out with a more open mind about homebrew. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget, please feel free to subscribe and hit that little bell button to help keep up with all my future videos. Thank you all, have a good night.